Good morning, students. Today we shall learn very important type of motions, that is collisions. Collisions are quite common while you are playing billiards, carom, marbles. You have enjoyed with the collision of marbles, collision of billiards, target with cue, ball, carom coins and all. So, in these collisions, what are the things that are going to be remaining constant? That is, we are going to learn. Momentum of the system is going to be conserved, and total energy of the system is going to be conserved. And based on the type of conservation of energy and kinetic energy, we are classifying the collisions into three types: elastic collision, inelastic collision, and completely inelastic collision. So let us learn collisions in detail. Let us see that, suppose this is a particle of mass m1 moving with some velocity, initial velocity u1, and here is a particle of mass m2. Let us say that this particle is at rest. This is at rest. Rest means if u2 is its initial velocity, u2 is 0. When this particle collides, we take this as x-axis and a perpendicular axis as y-axis. Since it is at rest, definitely, since they are in the same line, m1 collides with m2. When m1 collides with m2, you see, let us say that they fly off after collision. These marbles or carom coins or billiard balls, they fly off in the different directions. Say this is a origin, and this is, let us say, the direction of movement of the first particle m1, and it is moving with final velocity v1, and the second one, let us say it is moving, the second one m2 is moving along this direction with velocity v2. So let us say that this angle is theta 1, this angle is theta 2. So this is what commonly we observe, whether it is carom, billiards, or even marbles also. So such a collision wherein the particles fly off in different directions with respect to initial line, this is a two-dimensional collision, because particles are seen on a plane. So it is a motion of these particles in different directions on a plane, xy plane. This is x-axis, this is y-axis. So this is the motion after collision in two-dimensional plane, motion on a plane. So during this collision, the collision takes place for a short period of time, let us say delta t. So during this collision, this is an interaction. Momentum is going to be conserved, and then total energy is also going to be conserved. But there are certain cases wherein kinetic energy is also going to be conserved. Momentum is conserved means you have already understood. Total momentum before collision is equal to total momentum after collision. Total momentum before collision, if it is equal to total momentum of these masses after collision, then it is called as conservation of momentum. In the same way, total energy before collision, total energy of these masses before collision is equal to total energy of these masses after collision. Then we say that it is conservation of energy. Total energy is conserved. Kinetic energy conservation means what? Total kinetic energy before collision must be equal to total kinetic energy after collision. So conservation of kinetic energy means total kinetic energy before collision must be equal to total kinetic energy after collision, which usually does not take place under ordinary circumstances. If you observe, total kinetic energy is not conserved. Whenever two bodies collide each other, first thing what you listen is sound. Tuck sound will be heard. Or when two cars collide each other, huge sound will be heard. So part of the initial kinetic energy of these masses will be converted into other forms of energy, such as the sound energy, then heat energy, and sometimes it may lead to fire, that is light energy and heat energy, fire. And the particles undergo deformation. So in such collisions, which are going to be violent collisions, kinetic energy is not conserved. Total initial kinetic energy, part of it will be converted into deformation and into sound, light and heat. So that's how, based on the considerations of kinetic energy, we are classifying them as elastic, inelastic and completely inelastic collisions. Elastic collision is the one wherein momentum is conserved and kinetic energy is also conserved. Elastic collision is the one wherein momentum is conserved and kinetic energy of the system is also conserved. Whereas in case of inelastic collision, only momentum is conserved, but kinetic energy is not conserved. Part of the initial kinetic energy is converted into other forms of energy, such as deformation energy, sound energy, heat energy and spark or light energy. So that is inelastic collision. Most of the violent collisions what we see are inelastic collisions. And there are certain collisions you must have enjoyed. When two marbles collide each other, sometimes both the marbles move together one behind the other or attached together with same speed. That is completely inelastic collision. That you might have seen even in the billiards as well as caroms. When you hit the carom coin with the striker, both the striker and carom coin together move with the same speed. So that is called completely inelastic collision. Whether it is elastic, inelastic or completely inelastic. Three types of collisions. One is elastic, second one is inelastic, and third one is completely inelastic. Second and third together you can call them as inelastic only, but slight difference is there. So third and second together both are inelastic collisions only. In all these three cases, momentum is conserved. Conservation of momentum is observed. But in these two cases, kinetic energy is not conserved. That's how we classify. So elastic collision is the one we can write. Elastic collision is the one wherein momentum as well as kinetic energy both are conserved. Wherein momentum and kinetic energy are conserved. inelastic collision which we usually see. Elastic collisions are rare. We can say examples of elastic collision. When a marble hits another marble such that even the sound is not heard, or in the classroom there are billions of air particles. Air particles are colliding among themselves frequently. So the collision of air molecules in the classroom is also elastic collision of air molecules among themselves, air molecules with the wall, air molecules with the floor, air molecules with the ceiling. So such collisions are elastic collisions wherein momentum is conserved and kinetic energy is conserved. Inelastic collision is the one wherein momentum is conserved but kinetic energy is not conserved. Kinetic energy is not conserved. That's how this is the deciding factor whether collision is elastic or inelastic. And one more thing is that energy is also conserved. Total energy, not kinetic energy. Total energy is conserved in all the three cases. Conservation of total energy is observed in all the three cases. But conservation of kinetic energy doesn't take place in these two cases. So kinetic energy is not conserved. Then what is completely inelastic? So you can just underline elastic, inelastic. The third one, completely inelastic. Completely inelastic is the collision wherein both particles move together with same speed after collision. And in this also momentum is conserved. But kinetic energy is not conserved. That's how we classify the collisions into three types: elastic, inelastic, and completely inelastic. First, let us learn collision in one dimension. The simple case. First, we will learn collision in one dimension. Means if these two masses collide each other. Simple case of two masses colliding each other. M1 and M2 are the two masses colliding each other. After collision, both the particles move along the same axis, same line, without changing direction. If they do not change the direction after collision, we call it as one-dimensional collision along a straight line. So in that case, this angle of scattering theta 1 and theta 2 become 0. Such a collision is called as one-dimensional collision. First we will learn one-dimensional collision and we will start learning what is one-dimensional elastic collision. Then we can learn the remaining two. Consider two masses M1 and M2 moving with different speeds U1 and U2 in the same direction such that U1 is greater than U2. And after certain time, since U1 of mass M1 is greater than U2, the masses collide each other. After collision, the M1 moves with V1 with speed, V1 velocity, and M2 moves with V2 velocity. in the same line along the same direction. So angle of scattering here is 0. Such a collision is called one-dimensional collision. 1D collision we call one-dimensional collision. We have already proved the conservation of momentum using the example of collision. Just to brush up, what happens during the collision? Let delta be the time taken for collision. During this short interval of time delta t, collision time delta t, impulsive forces are exerted. Impulse on 1 due to 2 becomes equal and opposite to impulse on 2 due to 1. The impulsive forces exerted on each other are equal and opposite according to Newton's third law. So these impulses exerted on each other lead to change in momentum. So due to impact of collision, impulse on 1 due to 2, I will write impulse on 1 due to 2 leads to change in momentum of 1 delta p1. Change in momentum of 1 delta p1 equal to impulse on 1 due to 2 force into time delta t. Force on 1 due to 2. Similarly, impulse on 2. Impulse on 2 due to 1 is equal to force on 2 due to 1 into time delta t. So these impulses lead to change in momentum. Change in momentum. Change in momentum of first particle, change in momentum of second particle. And we know these are impulses. Impulse on 1 due to 2, impulse on 2 due to 1. Now using Newton's third law, we know that F12, force on 1 due to 2 is equal and opposite to force on 2 due to 1. This is Newton's third law. Force on 1 due to 2 is equal and opposite to force on 2 due to 1. So using this, we now prove thus. Using Newton's third law, we can write delta P1 must be equal and opposite to delta P2. Just substituting here. Delta P1 must be equal and opposite to delta P2. So delta P1 is equal to minus of delta P2. So this implies delta P1 plus delta P2 is equal to 0. This is important thing. Thus, total change in total momentum of the system is 0. Change in total momentum of the system is 0 means what? Total momentum of the system is conserved. Total momentum of the system is conserved. What is delta P1? From the above consideration, delta P1 is change in momentum of first particle m1 v1 minus m1 u1. This is change in momentum of the first particle m1 v1 minus m1 u1 plus what is change in momentum of second particle? This is m2 final momentum m2 v2 minus m1 m2 v2 minus m2 u2 equal to 0. So this leads to one important observation. That's what we have already concluded. Total momentum of the system before collision becomes equal to total momentum of the system after collision. So club those u1s one side and v's on the other side. U's on one side, v's on another side. So m1 v1 plus m2 v2. So if you write it, this becomes total momentum after collision is equal to, take this on the other side, right hand side, m1 u1 plus m2 u2. This is what we call as conservation of momentum. Therefore, total momentum of the system before collision is equal to total momentum of the system after collision. This is how we establish conservation of momentum. This itself is nothing but law of conservation of momentum. So as I said, there are three types of collisions: elastic collision, inelastic collision and completely inelastic collision. In all these three types of collisions, total momentum is conserved. Total momentum is conserved. Now let us see inelastic collision, one dimensional inelastic collision. Let us consider elastic collision in one dimension. Same diagram which I have drawn earlier. Let m1 and m2 be two masses. m1 and m2 be two masses. m1 and m2 be two masses, different masses. m1 moving with initial velocity u1, m2 moving with initial velocity u2 in the same direction, such that again u1 is greater than u2, so that after a certain time m1 collides with m2 in a short duration of time, and due to collision m1 moves with final velocity v1, m2 moves with final velocity v2. Simple notations: v1 v2 final velocities after collision, u1 u2 initial velocities before collision. And we have discussed that elastic collision is the one where momentum is conserved. Momentum is conserved. Second, kinetic energy is also conserved. Kinetic energy is also conserved. So we are making use of these two statements and write the equations, and thus finally we are going to find out what are the velocities of v1 and v2 with the known velocities of u1 u2 and the known masses of m1 and m2. Suppose u1 is given and u2 is given, m1 and masses m1 and m2 are given. How to find out v1 and v2 after collision when the collision is elastic? So first we will write the equation for conservation of momentum. Just now we have established m1 u1 plus m2 u2 momentum before collision is equal to m1 v1 plus m2 v2. This is the equation for conservation of momentum. Conservation of momentum. Similarly, we will write equation for conservation of kinetic energy. Half m1 u1 square plus half m2 u2 square is equal to total kinetic energy before collision of these two masses must be equal to total kinetic energy of the same masses after collision. Half m1 v1 square plus half m2 v2 square. So half is common, take out that half throughout. When you take out that half throughout, we get m1 u1 square plus m2 u2 square is equal to m1 v1 square plus m2 v2 square. So call this equation number 1 and equation number 2. Now we need to find out the unknown quantities v1 and v2 from these two equations. Now if you take m1 v1 to the left hand side from the equation number 1. So I will write here using equation 1. I will write m1 u1 minus m1 v1 is equal to m2 v2 m2 v2 minus m2 u2. So I can write it once again, m1 into bracket u1 minus v1 equal to m2 into bracket v2 minus u2. This equation we can call it as equation number 3. So equation 2 and equation 3. Just look at equation 2 and equation 3. So from equation 2 I can write in the same manner m1 u1 square minus m1 v1 square. From above equation m1 u1 square minus m1 v1 square is equal to m2 v2 square minus m2 u2 square. m2 v2 square minus m2 u2 square. Now this I can expand. I can write it as m1 into u1 square minus v1 square is equal to m2 into v2 square minus u2 square. Simplification. So this can be written as, okay, so this we can call it as equation number 4. Now look at equation number 3 and equation number 4. Dividing equation number 4 by 3. Dividing equation 4 by equation 3. Left hand side by left hand side, right hand side by right hand side. LHS by LHS, RHS by RHS. Then what do we get? m1 into bracket u1 square minus v1 square. I will write it as u1 plus v1 into u1 minus v1. A square minus b square is equal to a minus b into a plus b. A plus b into a minus b. The same way, right hand side I can write it as v2 minus, okay, v2 plus u2 into v2 minus u2. Now divide it using equation number 3. RHS by RHS, LHS by LHS. So in the RHS we get m2 into v2 minus u2. So that m2 cancels with m2 and v2 minus u2 cancels with v2 minus u2. And here m1 into u1 minus v1. See, you can look at this. u1 minus v1 cancels with u1 minus v1. m1 cancels with m1 and m2 cancels with m2. v2 minus u2 cancels with v2 minus u2. So now the equation becomes simple. Thus we get the result u1 plus v1 is equal to v2 plus u2. v2 plus u2. So this I will modify. I will bring u's on one side, v's on another side. So u1 minus u2 becomes equal to u1 minus u2 becomes equal to v2 minus v1. v2 minus v1. What is u1 minus u2? Look at this example. u1 minus u2 is the relative velocity of m1 and m2. Relative velocity of m1 with respect to m2. It is u1 minus u12. Similarly, relative velocity of m2 with m1 is v21, v2 minus u2. Or you can understand the total velocity of approach, total relative velocity of approach before collision. total relative velocity of approach before collision is equal to total relative velocity of recession after collision. So relative velocity of approach, how they are approaching before collision, relative velocity of approach before collision is equal to relative velocity of recession, the way they recede away, relative velocity of recession or recession after collision. So if you take the ratio of u1 minus u2 divided by v2 minus v1, you will get 1. So if you see u1 minus u2 gives you difference in the velocities before collision. Difference in the velocities before collision becomes equal to difference in the velocities after collision. This is the meaning of this. Relative velocity of approach before collision is equal to relative velocity of recession after collision. Recession means with what relative velocity? They are receding away from each other. So m2 is moving with velocity v2, m1 is moving with velocity v1. v2 will be definitely greater than v1. So v2 minus v1 is taken here. So I can write same thing as difference in velocity before collision is equal to difference in velocities after collision. I think you got the point. Now this question is being asked frequently in almost all examinations. Prove that relative velocity of approach before collision is equal to relative velocity of recession after collision for elastic collision. This happens only for elastic collision. For all other two types of collisions, inelastic and completely inelastic, since kinetic energy is not conserved, this equation will not be valid. So if you take the ratio u1 minus u2 divided by v2 minus v1, you will get the ratio 1. So this ratio is called as coefficient